Sometime in the future, humans have become enhanced with cybernetics. The Hanka Robotics Corporation is the leader in this type of technology. Mira Killian is being taken into Hanka as a victim of a terrorist incident. Her brain is placed into the body of a cyborg designed by Dr. Ule. Ule speaks to Hanka Robotics CEO Cutter. He wants to place Mira in Section 9, a government anti-terrorism division, but Ule feels she is not ready. 1 year later, Mira is now known as the Major. She is on the roof of a building listening in on a meeting between Hanka representative Dr. Osmond and an African ambassador. The Major receives her orders from Section 9 Chief Daisuke Aramaki and works alongside Bado. In the conference, several geisha bots start to attack the people in the room, leading the Major to spring into action against Aramaki's orders. One of the geisha bots hacks into Dr. Osmond's neck and kills him before the Major gets to it. The geisha bot says, "Cooperate with Hanka Robotics and be destroyed." The Major terminates it. The Section 9 team meets with Aramaki to discuss the attack. They learn that other senior Hanka officials had also been killed by service droids that night. An individual named Kuze takes responsibility for the murders. The rest of the team leaves, but Aramaki talks to the Major about disobeying orders. Aramaki informs her that she still has her ghost, her soul, within her shell and it cannot be replaced, unlike her shell. The Major tells Bado about what little memory she has of her past, which involves her family dying while trying to get into the country as refugees. She confusingly sees a vision of a hut in the road. At Hanka headquarters, the Major meets with Dr. Ule to repair the damage to her body. The Major has trouble remembering her past, only seeing brief glimpses and flashes. A seemingly caring Ule dismisses her hallucinations as glitches. The Major and Bado meet with Dr. Dahlin, who is analyzing the geisha bot body. The Major deep dives into the geisha bot's AI to try and get more answers on the hacker. She sees herself walking through a club in distorted images. Upon discovery, she is attacked by an entity, forcing Bado to pull her out of the dive. She comes back and says,
"I know where he is."
The Major and Bado infiltrate a Yakuza nightclub. The Major is pulled into a room by men who force her to dance while she is handcuffed to a pole and zapped with a cattle prod. The walls of the room block her mind comms with the team, but she starts fighting the men, kicking one out of the room, which alerts Bado. He and the Major kill a number of goons before they go searching for the hacker downstairs. They enter a room that is booby-trapped and a bomb goes off that damages the Major's body and blinds Bado. Bado receives cybernetic eyes to replace his damaged ones while the Major's body is repaired. Meanwhile, Cutter meets with Aramaki, angry over the Major doing the deep dive. Aramaki warns Cutter to watch his lip, since Aramaki answers to the Prime Minister and not Hanka. The hacker Kuze locates Dr. Dahlin and rips her eyes out before killing her. The Section 9 team find her body. The Major pulls a memory stick out of her hand which links the murdered Hanka associates and Ule to Project 2571. They figure Ule will be the killer's next target. Kuze hacks into 2 sanitation workers and rams their truck into Ule's car. The men get out and try to shoot her, but the Major and her partners arrive in time to battle with them. They manage to save Ule. The Major chases after one of the men as he flees the area, and when she catches up with him, she fights with him in invisible mode. Bado shows up just in time to stop her from killing him. Lee, the detainee, is interrogated. He tells Section 9 that he was on his way to pick up his daughter. The Major shows him a photo of what he sees as his daughter. They determine that Kuze hacked fake memories into Lee's mind. Kuze then speaks through Lee like a ventriloquist dummy, threatening Section 9 before making Lee break his neck with the restraint. Togusa manages to trace the hacker's signal. A highly armed Section 9 squad bears down on the hacker's location and clears the cybernetic chop shop. The Major finds a network of humanoid cyborg bodies that is part of the hacker's network. The Major has another hallucination and then is attacked and eventually subdued. They take and immobilize her, then plug her into the net. The hacker introduces himself as Kuze and reveals that he was a test subject of Hanka's, a forerunner to the Major, but was considered a failure and set to be terminated. He says he is defending himself and lets the Major go. The Major tries to shoot him but sees a tattoo of the burning hut, like the one from her hallucination, on his chest. Kuze says that Henka took control over their lives instead of supposedly saving them. They both escape when Bato's team arrives. The Major confronts Ule over the revelation. Ule says that there were 98 failed experiments before the Major. The Major is angry at being considered an experiment and wants to know where her body was acquired. Ule says she doesn't know, but she tells the Major all her memories are implanted. The Major says,
"Nothing I have is real."
After being briefed by Ule, Cutter has the Major apprehended. The Major is picked up and Cutter orders Ule to terminate her as a failed asset. As she undergoes the process, Ule gives her an address to find answers for herself and then helps the Major escape. Cutter shoots and kills Ule for this. The Major escapes from Henka, but Cutter reports to Aramaki that the Major killed Ule and that she must be terminated. The Major goes to the address and what turns out to be her old home. Her mother believes that she ran away and killed herself. The Major's real name was Motoko Kusanagi. Her mother senses a familiar look in the Major's eyes. The Major gets in contact with Aramaki and spills the beans. He informs her that Ule is dead and that Cutter says she killed her. They deliberately let Cutter eavesdrop on their conversation and say they are going after him. The Major chooses to go back on the grid. Cutter dispatches air support and a spider tank to go after the Major in the lawless zone. The Major meets with Kuze at a hideout resembling the burning hut. She sees more hallucinations, this time of her and her runaway friends being abducted by Cutter and his people for their experiments. Kuze invites her to leave her body and join him on the net where they can get revenge. At that moment there is an explosion that sends them flying. Cutter remotely controls a spider tank and tries to kill the Major and Kuze. The tank causes Kuze to be immobilized and is just about to kill him when the Major leaps onto the back of the tank and tries to open it. She tears her own arm off as she opens it up and manages to destroy the tank, but is severely damaged in the process. Kuze offers to merge his ghost with her, but she refuses and he blinks out. One of Cutter's snipers headshots Kuze, but Saito from Section 9 takes down the chopper before the Major is killed. Bato then recovers the Major's body and undamaged brain. Aramaki then corners Cutter after having spoken to the Prime Minister. Cutter is arrested for murder and crimes against the state. Cutter tries to kill Aramaki but is too slow. Aramaki asks for the Major's consent to execute Cutter. She gives it and he summarily executes Cutter. Once she is repaired, she visits her grave with her mother, who now knows the truth. The Major narrates that memories do not define us, but what we do does. She then returns to work with Section 9 and leaps off a building into her next adventure.